Vacation of CNN and those outlets, right? That's not how some of the social media is treating it. These people are talking without experience, Drew. That's the problem. They didn't experience the 70s like we did.
Well, even if they did, they're spewing out agenda. They're reading the script, and the script is not in the favor of the truth at all. They throw a little hint. Have a brain, and you read a book, and you look at the history. It's like, yeah, wipe them off the face of the earth. Not the people, not the Iranian people, the freaking regime. Get rid of them. All of them.
Again, hey, I'm a Christian, right? I'm not advocating for people's heads, but we're watching it play out right in front of us. So, hey, and real quick, Jeannie, I know Julie's working today. Maybe I can get her to pop in real quick, say hello, and then we'll go to you, Jeannie.
Yeah, no, I'm not working. I just have a couple of appointments I have to get to before I go to that town hall tonight with Justin Murphy. I just wanted to say, listen, I think that it's great. I think Trump is over in Turkey right now. He is kicking ass by saying what he's saying. Okay, he's done with Iran, done with them, the regime. And I think that, he's had enough. And then you have Zelensky over there groveling again. And he's basically, whatever.
Who cares?
Oh, I know. But that's what I'm saying. You guys have to watch this kind of stuff. And then he told Spain, no more trading with you. Because you know what? You haven't been a really good NATO partner with us. You haven't helped us out. You haven't done anything for us. You're talking bad. So see you later. So that's really great because we have stuff on our own home front going on here in our own backyards. We have a gas ban. They want us to stop using gas blowers, leaf blowers. I don't know what that's supposed to do. Mikey Sherrill telling us that we had to put our thermostats up to 75. Yeah, I'd like to go to the governor's mansion and see what her temp was set at. And people are still without power. In New Jersey, since Friday before July 4th weekend, still without power in 2026. So make that make sense to me. That's all I wanted to say. Good morning, everybody.
Did you turn your thing down to 78 degrees?
Hell no. My house was 77, though, because we had no power, so it didn't matter.
Well, wait. I mean, look, the amount of temperature, right? I got a little bit older unit. If I'm not at 77, it ain't working, right? So 77, 78, I don't know. That's why we like it. So maybe we're saving energy. We don't know it. I don't think so. But anywho, Julie, yeah.
You could have come over to my house, Marlon, and you could have stayed here on Saturday when I came home from work and it was 77 in here. I don't think it was comfortable at all.
Well, hey, like I said, it's either running or it's not. I don't know. It's an older unit. I do need to replace that one. But hey, Julie, good to see you. Keep your head down. Those are the grindstone. People need you. They're dependent on you. So good to see you. Thanks for coming up. Jeannie, how you doing? And then we can say hello to Stellar. And I know Dr. Ray is thankful.
Good morning, my favorite group of people. And I just had to say hi to our little Cornhusker over there. I wonder how far away we are from each other. Probably a couple hours, maybe.
Who said that?
Jeannie.
I'm in Omaha.
Yeah, well, I'm 2 hours away from you.
So you in Hastings or Grand Island?
Ames.
Where?
Other way.
Interesting. I'm from that area.
You're kidding. Well, see, I'm telling you, we don't have anything to worry about. Because we do have critically thinking people who in this country that are, I just see more improvement every day. I can't tell you. I know that I'm not in an area that is without electricity, and thank God I'm not in New York with Mondami. But I do see the leakage, like my county's bad, right? But I just have to focus on the positive. Focus on the positive. And it's interesting because for my healthcare warriors that are listening, more and more clinicians are podcasting, speaking truth. It's a glorious time to be alive to watch this. We are flipping rather than speak about the number of people who have been killed or injured, we're just talking fraud, just how fraudulent our healthcare system is. And that is a message I think we all can get behind in a billion different ways. So I'm excited, Marlon. I'm waiting to build anything until truth says, okay, Jeannie, we're ready for you. And where is tinfoil, by the way? I've been missing tinfoil. Where is he at?
Yeah, I haven't seen him. That question came out of my mouth today, and yeah, I know he's busy.
He's taking a little bit of a break. I just talked to him yesterday. He will be back. He's just taking a little bit of a break from Spaces. Okay, but he's all good.
All right, good to hear. Good to hear it. Hey, maybe we can hear from Stellar quickly. We'll go to Thankful and then Mr. Dr. Reyes. How you doing, Stellar?
Good morning. Doing great. I made it up, made it to your space. So happy. Yeah, there's a lot of things happening. I think a lot of things are really good that's happening. And the stuff that's going on with Iran needs to be cleared out because this stuff has been embedded in there. Well, since before 1980, so we'll just leave it at that. This has been going on for a long time and it needs to get cleared out and cleaned out. They're getting ledgers. There's a lot of information that they're getting. It's also bringing down a lot of the banking and the different big families and stuff like that that are also a part of this. You know, City of London is what is being exposed and the insurance companies and all of that other stuff. I will disagree with Rule in one sense. I don't think it'll be our children that reap or that have the benefits of what's going on today. I actually believe that we are going to be because we're going to be the ones that are building for the children in the future once all this rot is taken out. In my personal opinion, but I could be wrong.
No,
But
I agree
also
with you.
see, but also seeing what's going on with the financial systems, what's going on with the banking, banking of international settlements, the WEF, and all these other ones. No, everything's going just like it's supposed to. There's a lot of distractions, but no, I believe you guys have heard, well, people that know me have always heard me say that the power's within the monetary and the banking systems. And as that's being undone, and the centralized system being dismantled in that respect, I do feel that things are happening a lot faster in a decentralized system. Control systems are being dismantled as we speak. And I'll just leave it at that. Have a great day.
Can I agree with her real quick? I guess my point was more, yeah, we'll see some of that. Our generation will. But if you couple this with like the Trump accounts for these kids, 18, 20 years from now, their lives are going to be so much different than anything that any of us have experienced from a financial standpoint, right? Most of us had to dig and claw, use student loans, fight, the Fed, who's been the Fed being weaponized for years, just trying to get a new auto loan or a new car loan. These kids are going to start with a couple $100,000. They're going to be able to buy a home. They're going to be able to make sound decisions, whereas we didn't. And that's what I mean by that. But yeah.
Well, the problem is we heard all that shit when we were growing up. Hey, Social Security is going to be there, and this and that's going to be there. I hope you're right. No, I really do. I hope you're right. But
I'm thinking this could be an off ramp to Social Security too. I don't know if they're working on some sort of framework for that in the future. Is this being an off ramp?
Look, I think as Americans, we need some kind of answer on what the sovereign fund is, and hey, these executive orders where these companies were absorbed. You think back, man. 2 years ago, they absorbed Yellow. Yellow was running logistics in this country for 60 years. I think actually more than that. I think they were in business like 85 years or something stupid. How does a company like that go under? Well, hey, was that like a propped up thing, or what? Was it against HQ 138.9? I don't know the exact number. I'm just saying that some of these companies have been absorbed and we don't even know it, right? That's not in the mainstream, whatever. Before I go very much further, and Stella, I'm going to get you to respond, and we're going to go to you, Thankful, and then Dr. Rest. Why is Tucker Carlson now taking the ball and going home? I don't understand this guy's actions. He's had a lot of us follow him for years. That's how he got there. And now I feel like he's turned his back a little bit on us. at the end of the day. Stellar, you got something to say, and then we'll go to you thankful and talk.
No, I was just going to say a lot of this stuff that was like Social Security was only established in 1935 during Franklin FDR, during his administration. A lot of the stuff that Franklin put in, or Mr. Roosevelt, or whatever you want to call him, FDR put in, were socialist type of things. You know, prior to that, there was no Social Security. You know, we were prior to that also. I mean, there was just a lot of things that were done differently. Unfortunately, a lot of those people are no longer on this planet to let us know how things were done. But a lot of these, I mean, just like you had said, Marlon, you know, like, these Federal Reserve Bank, you know, that's not something that's part of the United States. That was a banking system that was put in because of what they were doing and getting set up for with taxes and all that other stuff. So again, a lot of these different things that were put in, or like they did, like the Federal Reserve Bank, taxes and stuff like that, were unconstitutional. They're not part of the United States, and they're getting dismantled or absorbed and then dismantled from being in the inside. One of the prime examples is when they got rid of unions from the Federal Reserve Bank. You know, the Federal Reserve Bank was absorbed back in 2019, 2020, I want to say, if not, you know, somewhere around then is when they merged them together. It was just last year that they said no more unions within the bank. You cannot have a union in something that's part of the United States, you know, like part of our government thing. So, with that being said, you know, that was being dismantled. But seeing what is being done and how Trump is doing it, he's reversing a lot of the stuff that was done before the Trump accounts and things like that. I don't think Social Security is going to be around. From the time when I was a teenager, I was told that, you know, they were teaching us in school, and I'm 60 years old now. So for over 40, maybe almost 50 years now of my life, I was told Social Security would never be around. It's not self-supporting. And it's really not a self-supporting thing. It's a Ponzi scheme, just like pretty much everything else that we've got going. So I do feel that a lot of this stuff is being dismantled. You know, we're going back to the tariff systems, you know, are asset backed, gaining instead of, you know, having to pay on a fractional thing. I believe that there's going to be a lot of abundance because of how the systems are being changed and that things are being done, and the dismantling of a lot of the social systems that were put in before. You know, do I think it's going to be gone by the time I turn 65, 68? No. But by the time I guess I've just had a grandchild born. By the time my grandchildren, you know, are older and stuff, there won't be any kind of social systems like this, because the government has never been meant to support. It's just to protect the people, in my personal opinion.
So,
I could be wrong.
Stellar, congratulations, Grandmom. Is that what they're going to call you, Grandmom? Or are they going to call you Nan? Or are they going to call you Nana? What are they going to call you?
I'm grandma. I am proud. I've got 4 now so far. You know, that is a privilege. I mean, that's literally a privilege. Once you make it to 50, you know, you join that club, the 50-year-old club. When you make it to 60, man, look at it. And then when we're at this point and we have new babies coming in, you know, it's a blessing. You know, I just want them to have more and more babies. You know, I
You
want
know what the
everybody to
best
have
part
babies.
is? You know what the best part? You can enjoy that baby all day long. And guess what? You get to hand it back to the mother. Thank God. Love you. Here you go. I got onesies. I got everything you need. I'm good. Here you go. Yes. Amen. That's fantastic. Good to hear. That's the best news I heard all day, Stellar. So let's go to Dr. Reyes, and then we'll go to Eugenie. And Dr. Reyes, how you making out there? Power outage still going on? How you doing, man? Good.
Hello, Mr. Marlin. Good morning, all. Man, I'm sorry for the come and go. I was trying to hop in the space, but it was hard. You know, man, the same communism. How are you guys? I saw Iran broke the ceasefire, and now they're going to receive some more bombs. I hope this time for good, man. I just hope America can deal with Iran, then you can, you know, do some Monroe Doctrine here, man.
Well, you know what? A lot of the older crowd, I was not surprised. I honestly, because of the way they acted, if one of the most powerful men in the world would drop the bombs on my head, buddy, I would say I would comply. They got, just have to say, hey, they got big balls. I mean, think about it. You're going under the weight of the U.S. military. Could you imagine? Could you seriously imagine? Anyway,
All these regimes are the same, man. They hold to the power so hard that even they could sacrifice the entire population if that means they stay in power.
yeah, unfortunately. And listen, and Cuba's in the news, man. So, look, there's hope there. So, hey, hope they're making out all right. And, hey, maybe, Jeannie, did you have something you wanted to add? And then we can jump to Skinny.
Yeah, just really quick, Stella, grandma is the best thing ever, number one. Number two, the banking system is the most corrupt thing ever. Well, can't say that because of healthcare, but I just wanted to tell a story really quick. I used to work at Wells Fargo Insurance Services, and those rat bastards assigned accounts to all the employees of the company, and fake accounts that we didn't know anything about, and it was all because the people who were starting the accounts were getting reimbursed based on their volume, and nothing happened. Nothing happened to the CEO or any of the leaderships. There was this big, huge lawsuit. I had to negotiate with them. I said, just by having Wells Fargo on my resume, I'm screwed. I'm screwed. How am I going to get a job when I've spent 5 years at Wells Fargo? People don't trust Wells Fargo anymore, right? So I just think back of all the things that our generation has been through in the 60s, watching Vietnam on TV, the 70s, I look back at our decades. We are going to turn this ship, guaranteed. We are. And I'm so excited to be a part of it. It's an amazing time to be alive. So thank you so much.
Truth, you want to jump in there? Go ahead, and we'll Stellar and Susan and Skinny there. Maybe we'll jump to Skinny, Stellar, Susan there. Is that okay? Truth, go ahead.
Yes, I just saw him drop down. I don't know if I'm mistaken. My screen ain't doing. Right. Anyway, just a reminder. Stellar brought up, the whole Social Security thing. Look, man, they've been wanting to rob that big old purse for so long, and that's why they keep complaining about, it's not going to be around. It's because they're robbing it. They have been robbing it for a long time, and I'm talking about people in Congress. Like, they see all this money. Well, it's not being touched. We got to do something with it. So that's been going on. But remember, that whole Ponzi scheme was created by FDR, that piece of crap communist that he was. And I just hate the fact that school tries to put him as this hero and the greatest president and blah, blah, blah. He was a freaking communist. He destroyed this country with his New Deal. People got to look into that piece of crap. And he had 4 terms to literally change the fabric of this country. And right after that, let's put in legislation and make it an amendment to the Constitution that a president can't serve more than 2 terms, because they saw how much damage he did and didn't want it undone. That it would take a president 4 terms to at least to try to undo what that piece of crap did. So I just, you got me riled up there, Stellar, because I love talking about that piece of crap.
Stellar, you want to respond real quick, and then we'll go to Skinny? I know Skinny's working too, and then we'll go to you.
I agree with Truth. They suck. They suck. They suck. So yes, FDR was awful, awful, awful. They put a lot of bad stuff on Hoover, but in actuality, Hoover wanted to put the country to work during the Depression. FDR wanted to put in social programs and stuff. Social Security after the boomers retire and stuff would never have been able to support, because Gen X Gen Y, whatever, millennials, there's not enough people putting into the system to support the system. When you've had a system that's only been going at 80%, and like Truth was saying, stuff has been stolen constantly. They don't just raid Social Security, they raid all the different things in there. As far as banks are concerned, I think that Gene was talking about it with Wells Fargo. You'll notice that the banks, the penalties they get caught with, or they get put onto them for the things that they do that's wrong, is less than what it would be. So like when they were playing the games with silver or different things like that, there was other stuff that Wells Fargo got in trouble with from 2008 forward and stuff, just got settled, I think, in the last year or so, and they had to pay huge fines. Well, the fines that they got charged and that was deferred to what, 10 years down the road, um, was less than if they would have done right with their clients or the people that at the bank, like us bank people or the people that have accounts and stuff like that. There's a lot of shenanigans that were going on back, especially during the housing downfall and stuff like that. And they felt that it was, if you look at the bottom dollar, the fines were a lot less than doing the right thing and, like being, doing the right, well, what they're supposed to do. The fines were cheaper than making sure that their clients or whoever the investors or the people are not investors, because everything goes back to stockholders. It's a publicly traded business. The banks and stuff, like everything that we have going on in our world today is about profits, and it's about corporations and stuff like that. So the corporations, as long as they make a profit, that's who that's who they're supposed to be taking care of. So when the
Well, wait a minute.
fines are,
Well, wait, Stellar. But what they're leaving out is, hey, the fines that they were paying. In 2019, they really put those financial systems on the chopping block and made them come up with the assets. Bank of America has a problem. Morgan Chase has a problem. They're trying and squabbling around. You wonder why they inflated the number of silver. Have you looked at silver lately? It's really down. I know people that bought in at $80, $90 and are like, oh my God, look at it now. It's down to 62 or whatever it was today. So, go ahead, Stellar, and then we'll go to Skinny.
okay. I've been on this platform under this name, I believe, for about 3 or 4 years now. And from the minute I got on here throughout golfing the pond, even in your spaces, I've always stated what is the most manipulated commodity on the market, in all markets, and it's silver. That is what they play around with. A lot of the, I mean, this is where people are going to have to do some digging, and it's going to be but when we had the savings and loan crisis back in the 80s, I believe it was, the Hunt brothers and all that stuff, a lot of, I mean, they've made movies about it, like The Big Short and stuff like that. When a bank gets absorbed per se, like SVB, like how we just saw, like what was it, a couple years ago was Silicon Valley Bank. Remember, they went belly up or whatever. Janet Yellen asked for banks to come in to bail them out. So the central bank is bailing out their own banks at this point, and they had been recently. So in that situation, when the bank gets absorbed, the assets as well as the liabilities, they're all on there. Okay. They hold the silver stuff or what other things. Now, you talked about holding stuff. Now, this is where you have to go into what I talk about all the time, Basel III, Banking of International Settlements. Also going into the WEF, World Economic Forum. But the banking protocols and things are through, it seems like how they've been changing stuff more so. In the past, they could hold, that's why they made commodities out of our mortgages and stuff. They turned them into stuff that could be traded on the stock exchange. You guys have heard of all of that, what they did with the paper and stuff like that. Through the protocols from 2010 forward, they've been slowly changing stuff and stating what can be held as hard assets within the system. So stocks no longer an asset, real estate no longer an asset within the system. hence gold and silver. So if you start going through Basel III, especially as you start going into endgame and stuff like that, everything is about liquidity. Liquidity is the most important thing. Watch the water, it's multiple layers. So the liquidity is what the issue is, liquidity to the US dollar, the liquidity to these corporations and stuff like that. When corporations are having it's less of I don't know, punishment to take the fine as opposed to doing the right thing because they'll lose more money, because everything is about the profit and loss, and it's about the stockholders and understanding that the system, when it's talked about on a two-tier system, it's multiple layers again, not just their system to our system, policies that keep us farther apart, but it's also regarding the entire systems, corporate systems, how they make their profits, their losses, and all that other stuff. Again, there's so much more that's involved on it and involved that as a part of this, because again, our corporations, our cities, our municipalities, everything is incorporated. So understanding the corporate portion of it as opposed to what the real, like I think they call it real assets, real property, like physical
Well,
hard things. There's
we
all
called
of
that
that.
out. We called that out earlier in the space. Like how much is the corporate charter of McDonald's contributing back to our societies? How much is Target, Walmart, Harbor Freight? How much are they putting back in society? They're using all of our infrastructure and they're using our people. So again, they're not stepping up to the bat here and taking some responsibility. And then Stellar, hey, we're going to get you quickly to respond, and I want to grab Skinny before he's got to go back.
Perfect. Just remember, there's two systems going on. You've got the corporate system, which is being dismantled. Banks and all these corporate companies, corporations and their responsibilities are to the shareholders, not the public. Just remember that.
Exactly. Go ahead, Skinny. Jump in there. How you doing, Skinny? Good to see you. And then we'll go to you. Thanks.
Finally.
Sorry,
Ty.
Skinny.
We can talk about something real, okay? Real quick. I'm a B-lister, so Mitch the Glitch, his staffers alerted me that I would not get my call yesterday. They told me to be ready early this morning, so I woke up at 4 a.m. And they did have to cut my call short, so I only got 17 minutes on the phone with Mitch. However, he did reassure me that he has secured $2 billion in anonymous foreign funding to make sure that we replace American simpleton checkers in rec rooms across the country, the nation. Okay, the entire nation, living rooms. This game checkers with Chinese checkers. It's 5D checkers, people. That's paid for. He got it secured. He reassured me as we contemplated the price of rice in China while he was doing 2-fingered push-ups and cooking organic eggs for his wife. This is bright and early. It's 4 a.m. my time. That's 7 a.m. Mitch time. So everybody can breathe easy today. Mitch is fine. His mental acuity is on point. He's totally alive. On a second note, I read the title of your space. I'm working with a man right now. His son is deployed at the moment. And our best friends in the whole wide world are turning their effing backs while another group of people is firing rockets all over the Middle East at our forces. You think, oh my God, dude, these people that think it's Iran are out of their effing minds. It never was, it never will be. I long for the day when Iran gets its own country back and its people. It's rightful people take their power back and get their land back and return to a dignified way of life. That's all. Everything on the news is absolute bullshit If you know any service members that are currently deployed, they will drop their phone calls like a bad habit if they talk about it. But certain people are literally turning their backs when their only job is to alert our forces of incoming. This is serious, people. And all these schmucks and these black pillars and these effing influencers that are starting to go talking about another endless war, no new wars. This, I'm seeing it all over the platform. Just be careful who you follow and who you listen to and the energy you pick up on. I listened to a super mega know-it-all space last night. It's a freaking joke. It's a freaking joke, dude.
Well, you know what, John? You know what's not a
long.
joke, Skinny? You know what's not a joke is I forgot to say this earlier. Actually, I got invited to a Small Business Administration for Chinese imports. I was invited to this small business roundtable. I forgot to mention that. So that's like on their docket. I think that's July 22nd for me.
Yeah. Well, lots of things happening. Lots of things to watch. This little spat with Spain, very interesting. And I don't know. I just stay emotionally detached from the situation and divulge and digest the information that you can. If you have to do mental gymnastics around this garbage, it's just right in front of your face. There's no reason for it. And the overthinking and it's not even at this point, it's just conjecture. And it's baseless. Everything that you need to know can be sourced, and there's plenty of places to look. So just be mindful of where you spend your time, because some of this stuff, I can't believe what I'm listening to. Right? All you had to do was listen to the press conference about the helipad, by the way. But people are having a conniption fit over that too. It's just so dumb, dude. He told you. He told you. But that's why people get frustrated at him talking about a helipad for 20 minutes. But guess what? It was right there. It's all out in the open. So, LFG. I love this, man. I really do. And things are happening at an unprecedented level. That's all I can say. And I'm here for it. No emotion. Let's go.
You know what? And we're going to go to you, Thankful. I don't know that people can keep up with what's going on. They want to hypothesize in all these spaces or whatever. They don't know half the information. Anybody that goes on this app and say, "Oh, I know exactly what," they're full of shit. They really are. I've heard that shit forever.
What I will tell you is there's a string of truths. Boy, shame on me for not knowing which date, but it started with the truth with Melania and Hillary, and then we moved on to Macaulay, and then we got the Tyson thing. And I'll tell you what, man, I did some simple old school timestamp work with that, and let me tell you what it pointed to. It's just right there in front of your face. You just go look around a little bit, and all three of those truths tied together. And it pointed right back to the very beginning. And we even got a picture of not only some stuff pointing to Hillary, but we got the old hot tub photo from Little St. James with Slick Willie in the mix. So, yeah, just look around, do your due diligence. That's all.
Slick Willie. Go ahead, Terry. We'll go to thanks.
Hey, good morning, Marlon. Skinny, I've got Bill right here. He would like to. Do you have a second?
Yeah, he's looking a little pruny these days. You notice that, right? Not so slick.
So, Skinny, it's Bill. The data is clear that they provided me with forms that said that everybody on St. James was of legal age. And I just want to make that really clear. And, I gave a deposition that said that if I had seen something illegal, I would have reported it immediately. Now, they told me afterwards it was like the wolf telling the farmer that his chicken coop door is open at midnight, that it wouldn't have been very credible. But I don't appreciate the accusations toward my wife. I love her dearly. I also want to say hi to my good friend, George W. Bush. People don't know that I replaced a Bush and a Bush replaced me, which means I'm very familiar with Bush and I like Bush. Don't ever forget that. I also want to say that I did put out a tweet this weekend addressing my concerns as to Donald Trump using his office for financial gain. Because I know me and my wife Hillary never once, ever used that political office for money, ever. The facts are clear on that. But God bless you, Marlon and Julie and Stella and Truth, especially you, Skinny. And I did talk with Elaine Chao and President Xi this morning and Senator Thune. And we're all very hopeful for his recovery. Mitch McConnell, God bless him. God bless America.
Yeah, what's the going rate these days on the Lincoln bedroom?
Hey, let me tell you something. These allegations that we stole White House property are just false. They're just false. I had all those attorney fees I had to pay for Paula Jones, and the money had to come from somewhere, And I'm very upset that Congress has a slush fund for sexual allegations, but there's not one for the president. And boy, that really petted my peeve.
Your wife must hate you. Like if I was able to imitate somebody, I would do it constantly. She must. Thanks for enduring that. How you doing? Good to see you. Thanks.
Oh my God, he derails me so hard every time he talks.
I can't even remember what we were talking about.
I'm like, what were we talking about? I'm like, okay. This heavy satire is quite refreshing. I love it. It's absolutely wonderful. The thing I wanted to say is FDR was, he was a communist. The problem with that particular time frame, and this is coming from, listening to my grandparents talk and my mother talk, people then were, they didn't have the access to the information that we do or the speed of communication. And the public was terrified. And the public was duped into believing that he was their savior. Now, he did a lot of very bad things. Hoover was, we got a dam out of Hoover. He was doing a lot of good stuff. The problem with FDR is because of his health, he was not really being president. And I'm not going to throw his wife under the bus. But the country was in a horrendously bad place because of some things that some very bad people did to us. All of these things have been orchestrated. The housing, the S&L crisis, orchestrated. All of these things have been orchestrated. And so many of us, myself included, for the longest time, kept thinking, gosh, why do these things keep happening? It never dawned on me until about 5 years ago that they were actually doing these things to us, whoever they might be. And I am so excited that these things are being called out and changed and dismantled and rearranged, and the truth is coming out. And I 100% agree with Skinny. Every human has to discern what kind of energy am I taking in, because you could waste weeks listening to people just yak about nothing, but get out there and do the thing that is in front of you that you can do, that is right. Go to your city council, buy a house, have a kid, encourage your kids to have a grandkid. Don't sign a mortgage, buy the house a different way. There's other ways of doing things these days. So get educated, and I encourage people. The other reason why I poked my hand up earlier is, Marlon, your governor, that girl, I watched her talk yesterday about power. She is like a junior Gavin Newsom. Her hand movements were exactly the same, just not quite as big. She was kind of trying to act normal, but I'm like, do they all take a class together on how to act like that? I don't know.
Terrible to see, right? We're this is an example that we're you know, everybody's watching, right? New Jersey, oh my God, that's the first socialist government, you know, has been installed in my state. Look at her, she is another Gavin Newsom,
She's
gruesome. I mean,
she
my God, it's
is.
horrible.
It's horrible. And Gavin is, we are no longer calling him a socialist. He is not a socialist Democrat. He is straight up communist. And he is also a
Gay,
narcissistic, what's that other word?
gay,
Psychopath. That.
gay communist.
Yeah, he is. He's a communist. He just is. And I'm done. I'm done messing around calling him
Oh,
anything else. He just is. So good morning, y'all. And I'm packing because I can't wait to move out of Commie, California. Yeah.
oh man, I wish I could run and hide out of Jersey, but you know what? I grew up here. My kids are here. My
I know.
family's here. I'm
I
not running.
know. Yeah, and I totally support that. And I stayed. My mom passed away last year. And so I have almost no family in California. My kids live in Idaho and Wyoming. And southern Missouri looks really good because there's a thing called the Ozarks.
Yeah, but the
So,
problem is, thankful I can't catch any marlins in in the Ozarks.
well, I know because you got to go off. Didn't he just make it though so everything's like legal for you to do again in the ocean? Like,
Oh, wait, yo! I mean, I got that tournament next week, right? There'll be a lot of famous people there. I know the director for Golden Nugget down there in Atlantic City, and you know he's going to put me in front of these right people. Well, guess what? You know
yes.
these people are going to get an earful about the East Coast win because it directly affects this tournament. Okay, when I explain to them what it's actually going to mean for the recreational guy, you know what? I should have some definite support a little bit more than I did when I went in. So,
Yay.
yes, Jimmy Johnson, he's going to get an earful. I will see him.
Good. Give him one. Good.
These are
Hey,
the type of people that need to help us, thankful.
yes, yes, they are. And I totally agree with you. And I am doing as much as I can in California. I've been the I won't leave over my dead body person for a really long time and watched all my friends leave. The only reason I'm doing this is because this is a legacy thing and this is a family farm. And so I'm just fulfilling a promise made at age 3. So grandpa is happy. He wants me to do this. So we're gonna do that. But California needs a lot of help. Lots of help.
Well, you know, look, California is dealing with the same thing that New Jersey's dealing with, right? You know, our Republican vote is outnumbered by our electoral system. That's why California should be talking about convention of counties, developing a point system. Texas should do the same thing. I've suggested this. Now, the problem that everybody has is, oh, you got to change the Constitution. Of course, you got to change the Constitution, but the rules coming out of Sacramento doesn't affect the people in whatever. I've never been to California. I would like to go to California. I want to see the Teton or the Great Redwoods and you know the sequoias, and you know I want to experience Western Nevada. I want to go there and kill a sheep, and you know there's so many things I would really like to do there. But man, talking to you people, I got to stay out.
Well, it's beautiful. It is beautiful. There's a lot. It should be like 5 different states because it's so diverse. But the problem again is it's a communist country and it is so much is being handed to this isn't an anomaly. Every single day I go out and I meet someone who just landed here. Why are they still landing here? Why can they look at me, they speak no English. They don't necessarily even speak Spanish. I don't know where they're coming from, but they don't understand. They drive on the wrong side of the road. The death rate is going to go up in California vehicular wise. They can't read the street signs. They have no idea what they're doing. They get cars. They're given immense amounts of money. They're given free places to live. And I cannot for the life of me figure out how the freeway is still continued to be open when we supposedly have a closed border. They're coming in because you can tell the difference between a person who's been here for a month and a person who just got here. It's because they have that look on their face like they've been dropped in Mars, and it's constant. So
Think
it's
of the
happening
balls.
every single day.
You think of the balls, Thankful, right? You got to come from another country. You don't know how to speak the language, but you got enough balls to pack your family up and step up into this. And like you said, they got to look like deer in the headlights. That would be the same way if you dropped me in the middle of Guatemala. I mean, I know I could get through, but, you know, most Americans are not going to know what to do, you know, looking around like you just dropped them on the moon.
Yes, they're terrified, and I am doing my own, like you mentioned earlier about, the Christian kind of thing. My deal is that those are humans. I don't know who got them here. I don't know how they got dropped here. They did not do it of their own whatever. I'm kind to them, and I speak enough languages that I can try to figure out what's kind of going on, but I also cannot. They actually don't speak one word of English. Where are they finding humans that don't speak one word of it? Like, they just look at you and they shake their heads. They don't know. And you can say hello and they don't know what to say.
You'd
They don't
think
know
that,
how to
you know,
greet you. They're
we
terrified.
we watched it on the news, right? Who's the woman? Sarah, her name, first name is, and she worked along with John Solomon, and she was really down on the border, and she really got exposed, and people went after her. Sarah, man, I can't come up with her last name, but you know, when they were reporting on it, and we watched as, hey, these bands of people came up. And I'll tell you what, 99.9% of them didn't look like they just crossed the desert. They all had food in their hands and prepared. They all were clean. Let me tell you, if you just walked 3 or 4 days across the desert, whether you had the right food or equipment to do it, you are not going to look like nice and clean and have blankets and clean clothes. You are going to be a mess.
Matching backpacks and white tennis shoes. They did not walk
Right.
anywheres.
Anywhere.
Nowheres. And they're
But
still
we gotta,
clean. They're
but we
they're
gotta
they're
do
very
the
clean
Christian
here.
thing, right?
It's
You know,
crazy.
yo,
I don't know what's going on, but I'm gonna get off my little box, and so lovely to talk to you, Marlon. And it's a wonderful hump day. So everybody have a great day today.
well, you too, Thankful.
Yeah.
It's just, you know, it was ridiculous to watch then, and then, you know, to even listen to you and saying, hey, these, you know, this is still happening coming over the border, right? Well,
Wow.
that's not the news what we're hearing, right? We're hearing, oh, the border shut down 99%. Let me tell you, I know for a fact that border is still wide open. Right, because I had guys that go back and forth to Ecuador and Mexico and El Salvador. They go back and forth. They have a frequent flyer
No.
code that they give the coyotes.
Yes, they do. It is there is a 100% river, and the people here, very good friends of mine that I've employed, that I've known for a long time, whatever, they go, y'all are, we're laughing at you. It's a freeway. It's a tunnel. They know how to do it, and it is very common knowledge to them. And also there's a lot of people. California has changed a lot. It's very hostile now if you are pale, and I'm pale. I'm really pale, and I've never been threatened before. And I'm 65, and some gal, I got too close to her. I was waiting for her. I was not moving my car. If she could have, she would have killed me. The look was insane, and I'm very careful. I grew up in a very gang, very hotbed of gang. A lot of it. I've never gotten into any trouble. She was mad, and they're very open now about crackers. Nah, we don't eat crackers. Everything Latina, everything. They don't want nothing to do with us white people. So
Look, if you know, and I think the whole administration, along with the Trump administration, has done links to help these people. But you have to understand the dreamers, the DACA recipients that are here. They realize that these people that came over the border, they could not meet the immigration status. That's why they came over the border. Not to mention the 153 other countries that people came through because that border was wide open. it's still as open today. Now, I don't think they're crossing the Rio Grande like they were, but you talk about tunnel systems, that shit's been installed, been there for decades. My guys have gone back and forth. There was one guy here, he Gomez. I'll never forget this guy. Slick. He was slick. He'd make as much money as he could in 7 months, and he would spend 5 months in his town in Mexico and live like a king. This guy did this since the middle 90s. He understands exactly the metric on that border, and they know how to get around it. They're able to contact the coyote from their country. That's how it works, right? You got a band of coyotes that patrol that.
No, they got them on speed dial. And now, you know how they DoorDash food? They're now DoorDashing humans back and forth. And I just talked to a gal and she said the guy who does the driving, he makes a shit ton of money. And all he does is drive people from California into Mexico and back.
He's under the same scrutiny as that captain in West Palm, bringing Haitians back. He was paid $2,000 a piece. That's a treasonous act. It is.
It is a treasonous act, but it only becomes treason when somebody looks at it and says, I'm going to prosecute you for that. And that's the part that's the communist part, is they got their eyeballs, they're looking straight at it and they go, yeah, no, we don't care about that. That'll mess up the system more. Good. So.
Well, let's go. I'm sure, Dr. Reyes, you got a couple things to add. Then we'll go to you, Skinny, and to Terry and Truth. Man, I got to step away 5 minutes. Be right back.
Well, Mr. Marlin, she's right. You need mass deportations. It's too much, and people go to America and do not embrace the culture, do not embrace the country, actually. And people run away from shithole countries like mine and then go to America and hate Americans and hate America. That's why you need mass deportations. Because if you run away from a country like Cuba and you go to America, why would you want to make the country you just arrived running away from a shithole? Why would you want to make the country you just arrived a shithole, like where you're running from? That's retarded. And it doesn't make any sense, man. You need mass deportations. You need to take all the illegal immigrants and send them home. Wherever is home, you need to send them there, because there is no reason for a white woman like Miss Grace. There is no reason for her to live afraid from immigrants. There is no reason for that. That means that the immigrants you are taking in are pieces of shit.
You're absolutely right. People need to listen a little bit more to someone like you living under a communist regime in Cuba. You know, I'm sure you probably laugh at our accents, but we're always glad when you come in there, Dr. Reyes. I think it was Skinny next. Am I right?
Well, man, at least I'm not in California, man. You know, or New York. Oh my God,
staying a lot.
Shit, man. At least I'm not in California or New York, man. Ugh.
Oh my gosh! Somebody stuck under the Cuban regime saying it's better than California. That's bad.
I mean, I would go to Idaho or Texas because they have open carry and good steaks. That's it.
That's right. Like Tennessee as well. I guess I don't see Skinny. Did he drop down? Okay. Who did he say was next? Was it Stellar then?
Yeah, it's Stella.
I just put my hand up. I thought Skinny was next. I was just going to say, good morning, Dr. Bazooka. I still remember the first time I ever heard you speak in a space. I love you. I love how much passion you have for your country and how you want it to be better. And I love how you love America. So I just want to say good morning, Dr. Bazooka.
Good morning, Stellar Shake. The reason you call me Dr. Bazooka, guys, I'm not violent, but when it's about kids and child molesters and all that, you should implement death penalty by bazooka. There is no, taxpayers' dollars sending them jail or fire squad and something goes wrong. You just shoot them with a bazooka and it's gone. That's right there, gone.
How much does one of those loads cost?
Those what?
A look like the thing, the shell, the whatever around that thing you put in the bazooka. How much does that cost?
No, I don't know. I'm sure it's less than sending them to jail to have meals and watch soap operas.
I'm trying to work out the joke because we used to say we would just spend a nickel and get rid of things that were a problem. I'm sure they aren't a nickel. So I was just looking for, is it a couple thousand or, whatever? It's way, way the right way of handling that.
Yeah. You probably could do like 4 people. Like you have 4 child molesters, you can do 4 with 1 shell,
Yeah, 4 for $1, and then I'm sure that we can get Patriots to put together a assembly line so we can reduce the cost of the bazooka shells. So maybe $10 will definitely not make them holla. Hopefully, it'll just make them go poof.
I'm ready for evaporation. That's the key.
Oh boy. See, Marlon's gone for 5 minutes and the space goes to hell.
I'm sorry, Truth. I'm sorry.
Hey, I ain't running it. So, man, I'm having trouble seeing any hands. Are there any hands? Because I think that.
Yes, Miss Julie. Miss Julie has her.
Okay, go ahead. Thank you. Go ahead, Julie.
Yes, I just wanted to say great conversation by everybody. Hi, Dr. Reyes. Hope you're doing good today. And guys, have a great day. It's beautiful here in Jersey. Finally, the sun is out. I'm going to go fight for my state. I'm going to go to this town hall meeting tonight with the senator. We're going to be reading from the Constitution. Defender's going to be there. Wake up. We're all going to be there. We're going to be fighting for our state because he's going to beat Cory Booker. We're going to try our hardest. That's for sure. Have a great day. I love you all, and I'll see you tomorrow.
Go get her, Julie.
Bye, Julie. What day is today? God dang it. What, Wednesday? Okay, yes. See you tomorrow, Thursday. Okay. Sorry, Terry.
Oh, it's all good. It's Thursday, July 8th, 2026. Good luck, Julie, with all that.
It's Wednesday, right? You said it's Thursday.
Did I say it was Thursday? My bad. Retract, rewind the tape. It's Wednesday, July 8th, 2026. So let me set the record straight. But I wanted to reply to Dr. Reyes. I see this all the time where we get someone coming into the space who doesn't live here, who appreciates our country so much more than a lot of people that live here, who knows that socialism is such a bad option. Dr. Reyes, there's just no shortage of brain broke people, unfortunately, in this country that think socialism, communism is a far better option than what our framers set up. And sadly, it has to be that way. But the good news is that our president, Donald Trump, put out a tweet the other day that said he's aware of it. He's been planning on it. And boy, I can't wait to see what he puts on him. Because he's not going to want to leave his presidency at the end of his term, knowing that the wolves are going to take it over. So have some faith, and boy, I'd sure like to get you over here, Dr. Reyes.
I have faith, man. Donald Trump, I think he's the guy to do the job. The only reason Donald Trump cannot do the job faster is all the rhinos like John Thune and Cornyn and all those people. If they were aligning with Trump and do the right thing for you, the people, the job would be done a while ago, man.
Right on. Well, Senator Thune is part of that never Trumper crowd. There's no shortage of them either. In his first term, it was Paul Ryan giving him fits. Now it's John Thune. So, but yeah, I hear what you're saying. And I think Miles has got his hand up. What's going on, Mr. Dean?
Hey, good morning, everybody. Yeah, a lot of this stuff that I think we're seeing out there that actually is being put in front of us as noise. The signal's really hard to find. There was a nuclear conference in Idaho this last weekend, and they're going to bring on 480 gigawatts of fusion power by 2028. That is the bad guy's main control system is energy. And that's the signal, guys. So, and these are built in different factories here in the United States, American built, and they can be transported. There's no nuclear waste or anything like that. They're totally safe, and they can be dropped anywhere in the world to run cities, to do desalination. So, yeah, all this other stuff is just to keep us distracted because mainstream media is not going to cover that conference. They don't want you to know that we're going to have low cost energy right around the corner. So just wanted to point that out. There's a lot of stuff going on. Thanks.
You mean our free press isn't actually going to do their job? You know, I was watching the media this weekend, and George Stephanopoulos. This is 4th of July weekend, our 250th anniversary. And he's talking to one of Donald Trump's advisors about, are you ready for it? The reflecting poll on the 4th of July weekend. So there's no shortage of distractions. The media, they're all just paid activists for the Democrat Party. And so they're never, ever going to be as our framers designed, which was to provide a free press and to report the truth, call balls and strikes. So, but anyway.
Boy, oh boy, what a day. Okay, so I see that Joe came up, and I don't see hands, man. I just can't see hands, so sorry if somebody has a hand up.
Oh, that means you called on me. Cool. I heard nuclear fusion, which is substantially safer than nuclear fission. Also, it is pronounced nuclear. Nuclear is a term of botany. Can you verify that? Are you still on the speakers?
Are you speaking to me?
I think so. You were the one that mentioned nuclear fusion, not fission.
Yeah, I can send you a video of the conference. They had people from the administration, from the energy department. They were speakers, and there's 20 companies that are involved.
Is that deuterium?
Yeah, that's one of them. But
Good.
there's a whole bunch of different companies out there. Helion is another one that you might want to look into. Yeah, they've had this technology for a long time.
Since the late 1980s.
Before that, but
Okay.
yeah, before that, and they kind of explain that. I get it that we were scared about the fission stuff and but the technology has been behind the scenes. Now, there's another guy, Ashton Forbes. Now, he's been talking about this online on X here, but he put a different spin on it because he keeps talking about Malaysia Flight 370, how it disappeared.
Mm-hmm.
And that happened in 2014. But if you look at the video, the three orbs that are circling the plane, and that got suppressed right away. Now it's popping back up. And right before it disappeared, there was a vortex, like a portal. And Trump just put that out as talking about portals. Elon put it out. Look at the video that Elon just put out. It's a song. It's an AI song. It's not the best song in the world, but pay attention to what he's telling you in the video as far as the future is now. It's here, and it's got to do with quantum and fusion. There's portals. Now, it was weird when they put out that, I think it was Dan Scavino put that post out, the future is here, and it's had old planes flying through the portal, and then it had the new technology coming out the other side. That was the same day they shut down CERN. So I don't know what connecting the dots here means, but there's a lot of stuff going on, which is really interesting as far as I'm concerned.
Well, I'm still skeptical of the MH370, but the concept of what actually was called cold fusion back in the day, it's entirely different kind of mechanism than fission, which does have ionizing radiation. So that's encouraging to know that that's what they're
Well,
talking about.
look, I'm not an expert at this. They were trying to control the electromagnetic um, process and contain it. And then they figured out, no, don't contain it, just let it go because it's not going to damage us. And that's exactly what happens with the sun. The sun doesn't try to contain the fusion explosions that's going on. The energy, it releases it. And then when it hits the earth, you can see what happens to our electric magnetic field. And I think that's why Tesla said, yeah, the energy's in the ground, it's in the ether, it's all around us because it's coming from the sun. So it's the same thing on a smaller level that they've figured out.
Where's Don Lemon when you need him on Malaysia Flight 370? Now, I'm just going to throw this out there, guys. Is it possible, and I'm just throwing it out there, that it suffered some type of a failure and just went down in the ocean and we just haven't been able to recover it yet? Because, I don't know, 75, 80% of the
No,
planet's...
no, because they found Amelia Earhart's plane. They scraped the whole ocean and they found her plane. That was a small plane, twin engine plane. So they they could have found this jet. I think what happened was the good guys saw what was going to happen, and there was a certain amount of people that knew what was going to take place. And yeah, it was Biden, Obama, Brennan, Clapper, but General Flynn was there too. He had the knowledge that this was going to take place. And there was some nuclear scientists on that plane that were going to go to China and give them this fusion technology. And either the bad guys or the good guys did it, but the video's out there, and you can say, oh, that's an AI video, but then if it's an AI video, then why did they get rid of the guy that released it right after that, the incident happened in 2015? That guy disappeared. So yeah, something's going on with this. Now the 3 orbs are circling the jet, and the 4th orb, and Austin Forbes talks about there's a 4th orb, and that's at the destination. So if we have it or they had it, the bad guys had that technology. You got to get that technology into people that believe in God. So, you can't have people that are atheists controlling that technology, because that means you could do anything. You could just make people disappear. So, or send them to somewhere. So I understand, some of the technology. Like I said, I'm not an expert. I've just been researching it for a few years, but yeah, it's a lot of this good stuff is right around the corner, and the guy you support is talking about it. So I hope he's a good guy.
I have a high degree of confidence that he is. I think he is. He doesn't have to be president. He pretty much sacrificed everything in his personal life to be the president. Look what everything he went through. He had a pretty good life. I think he wants what's best for America. That's just my humble opinion. Truth
Okay, one other thing that he gets a lot of criticism is like, oh, he's making all this money off us. Look into the company that he wants to merge with. He's got a big investment in TAE. Look into that company, and that'll tell you, the new technology. Look, I think the red folder stuff was not, it was a combination of two things. We've got the dirt on you. The NSA knows what you were doing, blah, blah, blah. And also, if you change your ways, look at this technology that we have, and we can really help you. I mean, Iran, they were freaking out that, oh, Trump, please don't bomb our desalinization, industry, because we won't have any water. Well, with the new technology, they'll have plenty of water. We can turn deserts into oases, so at a very low cost. So, yeah, I think he's a good guy too.
Yeah, I mean, I'm biased. I'm admittedly biased. I don't think he's always right, but he's seldom wrong. I think you know, I really truly believe that he has our country's best interest at heart. I don't think money is the motivator. I think it's the future of our country. So that's just me, I guess, being me, you know.
Yeah, once you get to a certain level of wealth, it's not, I mean, you got to maintain your wealth, but it just kind of works. And I don't think that's a motivator. He certainly has sacrificed a lot, gone through so much lawfare. For what?
Right.
He just sees the country being lost, and all of us do, and that's why we all voted for him and why people resonate with him. It's not that he's some perfect guy. It's not that he's a really great guy. He says what's on his heart or on his mind, and that's where a lot of people were like tired of the politicians all polished on what they say. And then here comes this multi-billionaire and
Truth. Did you see how he was accepted in Turkey? They treat this guy like a king.
Oh yeah, I watched all of that stuff. And people do respect him, but that's a temporary respect. He's the president of the most powerful military force in the world. So yeah, you better roll out the red carpet. You better treat him like somebody. But there's only a couple more years of this. He still has a respect as a businessman.
I think it's going to be both. When he's not in office, he's still going to be respected around the world. Especially if what happens, what we think is going to happen is it's not just for us, it's for the whole world. You're going to have, with this new power, the fusion power and the size of it, you can like a container, those containers container ships. You can drop one of those in a town of 100,000 people and it can run the whole town for 50 years. You can do that anywhere in the world.
I have a hard time talking in fantasy. I'm sorry, I just do. Sure, if it exists, great, then bring it out. If there's videos that exist, I just until it's happening. I mean, Tesla gave us Resolve years over a century ago. With his tech and his understanding. And here we are to where it was bought out. All of his rights, all of his inventions were bought out. JP Morgan told him, no way am I going to give free energy. There's no way I make my money for my stocks on energy, on selling it. So whether these technologies exist or not, and I know they do, certainly they did 100 years ago with Tesla and his discovery of how nature really works and how energy and it's free, but we don't live in that world. We live in a world of people that want power, they want money. It's an unfortunate reality. So no matter what's out there, I mean, there's been carburetors that were invented freaking 50 plus years ago that you could run on a single take of gas for thousands of miles. And what happens? The oil companies come in, buy out that tech, or kill them. That's how it happens.
Okay, but there's a change. The people that are like me and people that are experts, they're talking about it now, and they're not disappearing. They're not dying. That's the change. And all you have to do, if you want to watch that conference,
into our city and we're all getting free power, it's just fantasy land. I'm sorry.
It's not going to be free. It's not going to be free.
Miles on this. My dad worked with the DOE until he passed away and was a consultant even after he retired. He worked at the test site. My father talked about what Miles is talking about, and he talked to me about it when I was in high school. The stuff is there. The corporations, these giant ones, are the ones that squash the innovations or they buy it up.
That's what I just said. It's not, I'm not
And it is
discrediting
coming
the
out. But the thing
technology.
is it is coming out. A lot of this stuff is coming out. These patents, these different things will be coming and be used, because that is also how the deep state, if you want to say, the ones that are in control of these different things, in my personal opinion, that's what's going to dismantle them. It's just like how they have the hotels here in Las Vegas. They were all getting liquidated through Vici, and then Vici is now selling them back out. They've paid their debt on it, or what was owed, and they're coming out of, quote unquote, because they couldn't get structure from the banking systems or the government. So they went to a private entity, which was Blackstone, BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street, to get liquidity. That's what Vici is about. And you guys have heard me talk about that in here for at least a year and a half now. So again, Caesar's Palace is coming out. Sorry.
No, I don't want to interrupt you because, hey, basically what you and Miles are talking about, yes, I can see these different energy sources coming, but I can tell you right now that the energy sources, that they're not going to invest in that. They're going to invest in ammonia production and hydrogen cell fuel cells. That's what they're going to invest in. That is what our infrastructure is coming to every major city. Investor alert, please invest in hydrogen production. I mean, it's coming. It's coming before that stage. That's my gut feeling. The world is exposed to the hydrogen. They're running ships on hydrogen. They're running cars. This is not good news for oil companies. This is not good news for General Motors. They're depending on this combustion engine. Now they are really stepping it up with the hydrogen cells here. So in the autonomy world, it's going to be that the batteries and everything we've exposed that's toxic to our environment is going to go away, and it is going to go to hydrogen autonomous.
Again, dude, these techs have been out there for so freaking long, and it's just been this big battle, this big game, people getting bought out. They used to get killed. Now they're kind of not being able to get away with it so much, except for these freak accidents and planes dropping out of the sky and blah, blah, blah. But again, until they drop a freaking container and power my town, I'm sorry, it's just fantasy world. We're not in that world right now. The reality we live is reality. Sorry.
And Stellar, oh, where'd you go? Stellar, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there. Really, hey, that's what I see in my own state government. Those directions, with the hydrogen cells. Ford is supposed to come out with a hydrogen cell car, autonomous. The trucks that are running, Anheuser-Busch is doing testing in Texas. They've been running in Germany with hydrogen cells for 3 or 4 years now. So actually, the Americans are probably behind it. Go ahead, Stellar.
Well, they've been trying to do hydrogen in California and Nevada for over 20 years now. They do it for public transit. Hydrogen is not stable. They have a tendency to blow up. So I do understand what you're saying, and unless they're able to put safety protocols in. Now, I've been arguing with people about the monetary system for a decade now. So again, it is happening, whether people believe it or not, whether you see it or not. Things are happening. They are already showing that solar, as well as the wind farms, are not producing. They're more waste than there is energy that is being able to be saved, especially even like when you talk about recycling, the energy that's used to recycle uses more energy than if you just use new. So until there's new systems put in for these systems or things to be recycled or used, or safety protocols being put in, it's just going to be at its, like what Truth is saying. But the things are happening, things are being set up, and the infrastructure will be changing, because it's all about energy. And it's even happening, you guys don't listen to me on the financial side, but the ISOs are about energy efficiency and less usage, using fractions of, we're talking quantum bits or things like that, going to the very, very the particles of the atoms and stuff. So again, things are changing. People don't see it. I've argued within the financial system and ISOs now for over a decade, and trying to teach and enlightened. My father talked to me about these types of energies that you guys are talking about, and Miles was talking about when I was 13 years old. Okay, and he did work at he worked with the Department of Energy, and he worked at the test site, not in Area 51, but where they actually did the nuclear bombs, where the people are actually going missing today. He used to also work out at Los Alamos, and he used to spend a lot of time up in he used to call it Lassell, but the 3 Ls and stuff up in Silicon Valley. So there's a lot of stuff going on, as well as in somewhere in New York. So my father used to spend time traveling to these different places with the big corporations through the Department of Energy, working at the Nevada test site for over 40 years. And even after they stopped doing the underground testing, they were still doing the very, the tests were still being done, even though people didn't know about it. And it was always about the energy. So again, I don't know. I just know that these are things that have been talked about for decades. I see how things are being put together on the infrastructure side of it. And if we're going to being, a very low energy using usages and stuff like that, and how things and systems are being done, there won't be an issue. Our infrastructure is the biggest problem that we have in our country. And I do feel that, if they are able to do what they're doing along with the Green New Deal, without doing the bad, nefarious stuff in it, but the things that are actually pertaining to things with energy, true energy, and stuff like that. I do believe we're seeing this happen. Maybe not like Truth is saying, maybe not in our lifetime. Maybe that's something like the other gentleman said, maybe our children's lifetime. I don't think it's going to be that long, because I do think that stuff is being built. But hydrogen, I don't think is going to be stable enough or safe enough, just because of what's happening, unless they've changed their stuff over the last 4 years.
Well, believe me, they're running ships on it now. This was part of the reason that I needed to scream about the East Coast wind, right? Because of what you said, right? The windmills are not productive enough to save enough energy that it costs to produce them. So now, hey, they've stuck all these different companies on to the platforms here, hydrogen and ammonia production. Ammonia production is the #1 proponent in rocket fuel. Okay, so if I was looking at it in investor-wise, I would be looking at, hey, what is my state? What particular conglomerate is on the front line of that? Is it going to be Shell? Is it going to be ExxonMobil? I'm telling you right now that those companies are the ones that are really, hey, carving it out. They know what's going on behind the scenes. One more thing I want to say. I understand the autonomy. I understand all of, hey, the continuity, taking the driver out of saving companies money. I get it. But what I don't get is the reason that it's got to be proven and tested, hardened tested. Let it expose to the environment for a while. And let's see how these mechanical or autonomous vehicles, all of autonomous robots, go put that son-bitch out in 110 heat and give it some sand. Let's see how long the actual pistons work on that robot. So in the back of my head, Stellar, it's years in the making, because it's not hard and proven technology yet. That's my opinion. Before we go too much further, hey, I do want to say hello to Nathan. Nathan popped up. Joe, I know you're next. I see Peter came up and
can go.
Response. So go ahead, Nate.
Hey, thanks. Good morning, everyone. Yeah, I attended a international conference on the features of combustion engines a few years back, and next year the trucking industry, well, specifically Peterbilt, is going to have all hydrogen motors, and it does appear the autonomous is coming, but that I think that's still a few years out. It would be regional. I believe you mentioned Texas. But what was interesting about that conference is learning how our refineries here are controlled by an international body, no different than the WEF or IMF, something like that. And they're going to be pressing to increase the ethanol, possibly some other form of natural gas or something, to on the ethanol type side. That's going to push us away from keeping our older vehicles just to run on gasoline. And then eventually it's just going to slow walk us into the cattle pen that they want, where we either have to drop $100,000 on a vehicle, or just use public transport and you'll own nothing and be happy.
No, I'm with you. I don't want that route. I want to be able to fire my diesel up and go into North Woods. What am I going to have to do? Take a generator with me and carry fuel just to charge my truck? I mean, it's ridiculous at the end. You know, and again, they use the environment against it. They used it for the environment as these windmills were, hey, advantageous to the environment and developing fads for fishermen. But unfortunately, that's all a lie too, right? That was Orsted putting out, because you're not actually going to be able to fish up in these fads, fish attracting devices, right? That's a fad.
What's crazy about these windmills is that they have brakes on them. So instead of just operating them 24/7, feeding back in the grid, they just use them as needed to power what it is that they want.
So Megan from Frost Freeze really brought this out. This is a woman who has a clamming company up in Mass, and she's been fighting this East Coast Wind project since the very beginning. You know, her family sewed beds and beds of clams to have a sustainable clamming industry. That's what they did. They promised these people that we're going to be able to fish in between, and then when it came time and putting in, oh no, you can't. So that's the exact speech that Jimmy Johnson himself is going to hear this weekend. I will have an opportunity to talk to him. He's the guy. Those are the type of people that really need to be how impactful it would be against their tournament. Their tournament is this week. If Ocean 1 and Ocean 2 were installed right now, we would have to run around these windmills. Do you know what fuel costs these days? It's $5.59 at the dock, people. Right? They're not going to want to spend an extra 80 gallons to go run around the windmill park. It's just not going to happen. This is the lie. So wait till they get a load of it. They'll definitely get a load of it. Oh, and by the way, Nathan, just so you know, hey, I am going to start some kind of motive to end up in CPAC next year. I hope that maybe some of the people from your community would join in and show up in Florida with me at CPAC. Let's change the narrative, because that's not the narrative I heard in CPAC this year. Secondly, I want you really to pay attention to July 22nd. I was invited to a Small Business Administration roundtable to talk about China imports. Wow, this should be a dazzling information coming out of the corporates that actually show up in that Small Business Administration roundtable. Can't wait. So, yes, these things are on the horizon. Joe, go ahead, Joe, and then we can go to Pert, and then we'll get a Stellar to join.
I'm just going to offer a comparison. My more recent work, as an inventor, I do have a patent, but my more recent work, what I did, instead of trying to patent it, was declare it as prior art, which means nobody can patent it. Anyone can freely use it. The day somebody comes up with a nuclear fusion reactor, using heavy water, which is about 1% of the Earth's water, and declares it as prior art, that means nobody can own it, anyone can use it. And that's where we'll see fair competition for energy generation, with the only thing separating the heavy water from the normal water. Heavy water is deuterium, which has for each hydrogen atom has an extra neutron in it, which is why they call it heavy water. But when that happens, it's game on. I mean, and from what I remember of the late 1980s, chemists proved that it was happening. It also causes transmutations of one element to another, which suggests also that there are components that have to be replaced in the process periodically, but it doesn't present anywhere near the threat that nuclear fusion does. I'll drop the mic there.
Well, Stellar, you had talked about a bomb, right? Hydrogen being unstable. This was one of the companies they wanted to attach to these windmill platforms. They also want to build an island off of New Jersey to house the hydrogen depot to be able to shuffle to Hudson River and be able to install it in the infrastructure that way. I would guarantee Shell, Exxon, somebody's on top of this and they know what's going on. So what why don't we go to Pettit? I'm sorry, I don't have my glasses on. And we'll go to you.
Can I make a comment real quick before you go to him because you just mentioned my name? What? Okay, so you're talking about Peterbilt and these different companies that are building their engines. Where are they going to get their fuel when they're in Nevada, Arizona, and these different states if they're going cross country? These infrastructures were set up because the batteries don't work and they don't hold long enough. So that's why they're moving to the hydrogen, is because of the battery technology. It's because of freaking California, guys. 75% of this stuff, 80% of this stuff is in California alone. Do you think that every truck station or truck stop on all of these major routes all over the country are going to put in another set of gas stations when they just had to put in a bunch of battery things for people's cars? I don't see it happening. I really don't see hydrogen as being a thing because, again, most of this stuff is just because of California and what Gavin Newsom did. And that will be unwound. Trump already unwound that stuff. Okay. So hydrogen is too unstable. They may do it in certain regions or whatever if they're able to do the fueling depots. Otherwise, how are they going to get fuel? Period.
A lot of
Okay.
these truck stops across the country already do have hydrogen outlets. They're just in the back end of the truck stop to get them. It probably wouldn't take much more to complete the connection to more.
Okay, so they've already put the infrastructure in for this because I have not been aware of that. And, it's something that I have been watching because I'm next to California and what they do. We get our oil from California, so we get the high taxes that California has. So that's why I was asking, because that is something that I watch as they have these refineries and, all the stuff that is happening that they're trying to close down on. So I just see things differently, I guess. So if they've already got it set up, then that's fine. That was my biggest thing. How are they going to get stuff to go from one side of the country to the other when the infrastructure and the fuel is not set up there? And from everything that I can tell here, there might be some stations, maybe newer stations, but from what I can tell, they're not there. They're really just not there. Most of the gas companies aren't putting the money in for that kind of infrastructure. It's really weird.
Yeah, I agree. It's not all of them. It's just a few, but this has been a few years now. They may have installed more. Sorry, John.
No worries. I don't know what the longevity out of that hydrogen fuel cell is. I don't know the mileage. We don't know anything about it. That's why I'm just saying, like, the energy things that you guys are talking about, yeah, it's great. I can't wait to explore it. CenterPoint Energy and all of it. But unfortunately, it's not a proven science yet, right? You haven't exposed it to the elements. You haven't shown anywhere, no testing. But I'm just telling you that Anheuser-Busch is all over this, okay? Anheuser-Busch is running their fleet on hydrogen. They are actively putting hydrogen cell-making materials on these platforms. They do it through osmosis, so it's going to raise the salinity factor wherever these plants are. And then Jersey, they're going to build an island to house the hydrogen. I mean, all right, hey, do you want to go to Pettit? Yeah, how you doing?
Good evening from London, Mule. How are you doing?
Okay, man. What do you got to share, brother?
I know you all are talking about renewable energies and fossil fuels, but I think that's not gonna. I don't think that's gonna be sustainable. Even though it regenerates, I just don't think that's the kind of direction we're going to. Not in the near future. If what we've been told about the kind of technologies that we've got that are not being made present to the public, I don't think we're going to be stuck. I don't think we're going to be staying in the ground for very long. I think we're going to be taken to the skies, kind of similar to the Jetsons, but probably much more advanced than that. It's just
I think for the Olympics, they are advertising this air taxi mode of transportation. This is something that, hey, they're promoting right now. They have these drones autonomously flying around like taxis, like the Jetsons. Yeah, man, I agree.
That's very, very small. That's not even close to the kind of transportation technologies that we've really got that haven't been made to the public. The Jetsons is very, very small. That's just childlike visionary Think of it as something like you interface it, you interacting with the vehicle whilst you go into it through your own mind, through your own consciousness, through you basically merging with the technology and being able to go to wherever you want to go, controlling it through the power of thought. That's the kind of technology that we're going to be going through very soon. The stuff that you're seeing right now, I know everyone's talking about, I know Donald Trump keeps talking about the oils and everything like that, but honestly, I think that's just for the normies. But the kind of gifts that are coming soon, look, Raging, I get it. I know you might not agree with me, okay, but I'm perfectly fine with that. It's just how I see things, okay? So you're more than welcome to say that I'm talking out of my ass. That's fine. Same with you, Stella. I may have gotten that wrong.
I don't think anybody's beating you up about it. I would say you're probably on the right track. I mean, a lot of our military is already running this technology. They're firing missiles on thought. Yeah, absolutely. So I'm not beating you up because hey, you're a visionary.
No, you're not. Marlon, you're not. You're really not. It's just I'm just reacting to the emojis that are being used whilst I'm talking. That's all. And I could be getting it wrong, but I'm just saying what's coming into my mind. And also, this whole concept with Iran was never going to comply. I don't think he's actually talking to the Iranians. I think he's talking to the Islamic State of Iran. They're saying they don't want to comply. They don't want to do what they're told, and that is to set people free. All of this that you're seeing right now, even today, when Donald Trump said the Islamic State of Japan, they're talking not to Japan itself. He's talking about the Islamic, the Muslims over there. He's telling them, either you leave now, leave peacefully, or we're gonna have to resort to what we did to Iran to you, and we don't want to have to go through with that. All of this that we see right now is just for the normies. People think that he's going to attack these guys, or he's going to attack them, or he's going to attack them. No, he's just telling them, get the fuck out of the country right now, or this is what's going to happen to you.
Brother, cool. Yo, look, I appreciate you coming up and joining in. And, hey, the only thing we don't do is drop the F-bomb in this space only because, hey, we got some other people listening. That's not your fault. Elon himself, Papa Trump walked in here. I told him the same exact thing. So it's nothing personal. It's all good. Hey, I like the concept. I do believe maybe in the future we're going to have something like that, but we need hardened technology. We need to get the goods from A to B. I know for a fact that my State Department is working on this. I know that Shell is behind this, hydrogen production behind this. So let's just open our eyes a little bit and understand what's going on. And Stellar, yes, I think they're slowly getting this technology. But that's why I've been such a prick about this. I don't want 365 bombs on my coast. I don't think that production could be done on land, which would make it much safer. You got to refrigerate it. You got to transport it. There's a lot to it. So, Nathan, did you want to say something real quick, and then we'll get maybe Skinny?
I think Miles has been waiting. I'm not sure if you see his hand. I don't mind waiting.
Yeah, Miles, and we'll go.
Yeah, I'll be real quick. I dropped a link to the conference that was in Idaho. It's and also it's their website. It's the Idaho National Labs. They've been around forever, guys. So just go check them out. Find out the companies that are working on the technology, and have fun.
I think at the end of the game, you're going to find out who invested in this and who didn't, right? I think every American should have an opportunity to invest in our infrastructure. I think these hydrogen things and ammonia production, you know, if, hey, we're all paying the taxes in these states and cities, well, guess what? Maybe we should get a piece of it. I know that sounds like a socialist plan, but, you know, when you go back and you calculate on all the money that we've spent over since FDR and all the reserves and all the state woods and Amway and everything else that we paid for, right? At the end of the day, the American people should get a slice of this shit. Okay, Nathan, and then we'll go to, I'm sorry, Nathan. Let me go to Skinny. I know he's working. We'll go to you, Nathan, Vegas, Rango.
Just real quick, Marlon, we talked about this like a year and a half ago when people started in on the hydrogen thing, and I posed it to my brother because he's focused his studies on all things environmental, which plays into his current role in the state. What are we going to do with all the salt, bro? That's all. We talk about upsetting a balance within the planet. I just think it's like the most short-sighted freaking idea I've ever heard, along with, windmills and solar panels. They're already developing here. We have what's known as Redwood Materials. If you guys don't know what that company is, that's the battery recycling outfit. They're currently building outside of the USA Parkway complex, not by very much, but it's right there. They've just cleared a metric poop ton of land for solar panel recycling. If these things are so great, why are we recycling them already? That's another question I have. We can do a lot more with a lot less. Seriously. And if you guys remember,
oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
well, we had one of the water guys, the water engine guys in Reno when I was a kid that went dead. He lived right in Reno. He ended up just poof, he gone, right? And he was actually working on getting a fleet of city buses to run on water in the desert, right? So here we go again. I don't know. I think I keep saying it over and over. Electromagnetics, there's also ideas out there that if you were to, you could literally embed these highways with Tesla style coils, and these cars could induce pretty much harmless energy right from the roadway. It's so ridiculous, but the problem is a lot of this stuff that can be done with much less environmental impact doesn't have the experience that we have with our refrigerators and our washers and dryers right now, which is the stupid replacement. Good luck. Good luck getting a fridge to last for 10 years these days. When I have a dryer that's damn near as old as me, in service today, works flawlessly, never been serviced. I don't know. I look forward to a day when we can use a lot of common sense and some book smarts combined, working together once again. Right now, we have a lot of intellectuals that are in charge of things right now. And the minute you put their ideas out in the real world, they fall flat on their face, whether it be from a maintenance aspect, a longevity, or like what they're doing to Nevada right now, right in the middle of the state. You guys can go on a satellite map, look just north of Winnemucca at this new lithium outfit and see what they've done to chase that around. And not to mention, I don't recall the dump catching on fire once growing up. Not one freaking time did we ever have. We've had a dozen dump fires in the last 2 years. My bet is 100% on small cell, AA's, 9 volts, C cells, D cells, going in the trash can and ending up in the landfill. We all know what this stuff does. It's not rocket science. And I don't see it. I think it's ridiculous.
Do you know that, hey, I live next to, and then we're going to go to you, Nathan, in Vegas and Ringo. Do you know that I live next to, or in the middle of 3 of the most toxic dumps in the country? Did you know that? Right? There's one in Pittman, there's one in Pine Hill, and there's another one somewhere in Central Jersey, Kinsley landfill, I'm sorry. So, what they did on these landfills is they made carbon capture. So basically what they're doing, they're harnessing the methane gas that these dumps are producing. Now, I think that shit's pretty smart. And I like that a lot. They're converting it to a natural gas that they're running the public works on, they're running the trash trucks on. So LG, they're using a lot of natural gas here. So, the demand for oil, I think, is lessening, especially more of these technologies that come on. Like you said, maybe some of these people aren't disappearing now. I don't know. but I do know what I see, what my state is doing, what every city in America is going to be doing this infrastructure. Please look into it. Just ask questions. Your county knows about it.
Yeah, Marlon. One other thing, ex-girlfriend, her dad was an engineer for what was Bentley, later purchased by GE, and then he went to work for Hess Microgen. They were doing cogen stuff, but he and his partner developed something that the Navy got very interested in, and some other big outlet stores. And I know that some places are utilizing this technology now. The heat alone from a refrigeration unit can be used to power little generators with a simple gas exchange, right? Closed loop system. Nothing escapes, whereby the heat, the byproduct of any refrigeration unit is heat. They use the heat to turn generators to do other things on the same property. There's no reason every house in America isn't built this way at this point. Just
Kenny,
simple
let
heat
me ask you
exchange.
a stupid question, right? Why wouldn't they put an alternator system on the wheels? That the thing has inertia going. If it had alternators, you'd be able to charge the battery with a constant volt to change the voltage from DC to AC, charge the battery. You would be everlasting. This is not part of the plan, right? They can't make any money like that. There's no profitability at the end of it. So, quick word, and then we'll go to you, Nathan. Go ahead, Nathan.
Oh, okay. I thought you said a quick something. All right. Yeah, Florida has where they capture the methane off of one of their dump sites and powers a small town near it. At that conference, they also spoke about and in California, they're all the new construction for homes and buildings. There's no longer gas lines going to them, and what their plan is to have LNG going to these battery storage sites. And I guess their plan is to have, they have like sacks of batteries inside of a shipping container on wheels, and that's going to be the new fueling station, if you would. At least that's their plans. But some things have changed, because I noticed a big shift from the ESG. And a lot of these investment companies are shifting more towards biomedical, which that's kind of scary in itself. After you think what happened with COVID, and now they're looking, all these large investment companies are looking into biomedical. What are they really planning? Or are they just full steam ahead trying to maybe provide all of us cancer so they could then treat it with a new vaccine, and that's their huge profits that they predict with the return on investments? Or just looking to change our DNA and, I don't know, shape us into, I don't know, lizard people, or whatever the case may be.
Well, Nathan, look, the lizard people, hey, we all heard about it in Miami, right? 7-foot lizards walking out in front of that office building. I don't know, Nathan. But what I can control is I can control my little environment. And this environment this weekend, I should be able to get to these people, and they are going to listen. They're going to be walking down the dock. Oh, there's the windmill guy again. That's what they're going to do. I can't wait. Vegas, go ahead, man. Yeah, Vegas, you good? We'll come right back to you, Vegas. I might be on the phone. Hey, why don't we dash to Ringo? Go ahead, Ringo. How you doing, man? Good to see you, CSN.
Yeah, how you guys doing? Marlin Space, or We the People Space, part of the CSN network. That's right, guys, promoting ourselves across platforms in order to bring you guys the great information, such as Marlin Space does with him or Truth or whoever's running it. American X Live. Make sure you guys tune in for that. But I wanted to say I came up because had the gentleman Petrit come up here talking about us controlling cars and all that. Hey, we're done with that. It's already bad enough we have these phones in our hands. This advance in technology to try to have human thought or mind control. It's just another way for them to try to control us. No, I'm good with it. Don't put nothing in my head like Elon wants. None of that nonsense. AI is not that smart. It'll never be able to read our minds. We'll always have to tell it what to do. Elon thinks he's playing God by creating these robots. He's not God. He's not these things. I mean, I question it sometimes. Like he thinks he's creating something, I'm your daddy kind of thing. But this thing in your mind, Marlon, like, oh, thought control, airplanes, that's going to be a hard one right there. The Jetsons and all that. I get it that it's like a futuristic idea. But where are they going to fly? How are we going to control crashes? How are things going to work? It's not going to work. It's going to be very difficult. That's why, these hovering taxis and all that they're experimenting with, they're dangerous. It's a dangerous situation. And I get it, humanity.
LA
Yeah.
is actively they're actively promoting this. There's a company out of Texas that's devising these drones. LA County is promoting this for the Olympics coming there next year.
Yeah, I've seen those taxis. You can go and take a spin. You go out, they let you sit in them and whatnot, so you can see how they work. And they are promoting it, but they're dangerous, Marlon. You get in one of those things, you have no control, right? It's an autonomous taxi, um, and that's one of the things that I guess Petrit is trying to allude to. That way in the future this will happen. I don't think humanity will ever let this happen for the sheer fact of control, right? They want to control us in every factor that we do. You can't do that. Somebody, Skinny came up here and says, buy a good refrigerator. Well, how is it going to be good, Skinny, when they put all these electronics in there, talking about you could see through the wall of the fridge and you could talk to your fridge and it's connected to the internet and blah, blah, blah. Wait, last I looked, fridge, stove, they're supposed to produce, either heat for cooking, or ice for making sure that our food stays cool. When did we get into we're going to put a camera in there, AI in there, all these crazy things? It's the surveillance state is deep, all in the name of profits and money. And it's getting a little bit too far. Honestly, it is. Humanity needs to fight back. And when I say fight back, it's push back against these products that are absolutely horrible. The great American thing, in the manufacturing business, that's what we do. We do furniture and mattresses and stuff. One of the biggest things is to make it last, right? We slap a Made in America label on everything that we produce from my family's business. And that was the thought. You bought something and it lasted you. It was good. We didn't want to buy the cheap Chinese shit, right? Because we knew we were going to have to buy it twice and end up paying more for it. But now people, because of the use of I could save a couple dollars. I could wait a year or two. And then they go out and they buy these things. But I wanted to actually, let Skinny know, get one of those old fridges. That's what I got. It's in the garage in case the big fridge breaks. Guess what? Everything goes in there. One of those old one-door ones, right? With the ice box on top. And those work just fine. And it's surprisingly, they're still being sold, right? Without all that crazy, talk to me, baby. I want to say the lizard people thing, it's all Carmen's fault. She's one of them. I know it. I see you, Carmen. All right, bye.
There's been a lot of talk of new manufacturing coming online, and it's something I don't really want my refrigerator talking to the internet. It would be nice not to. My stove, my thermostat, my car. They're telling you that this technology's there. They show it in a commercial. They show a guy getting in an autonomous vehicle, and he doesn't know where he's going. Well, here they program the car to take him to a surprise party. But who's to say, you get in a car and it doesn't go where you want? I mean, dude, I'd be flipping out. I'd be busting out of that car, and I don't know. I'd probably ruin the surprise party, but I'm just telling you, I don't think I'd be happy with it.
And how many crashes have to happen with these people using, like, here in California, electric cars like Teslas and all these EV cars, they're very popular and they have that self-driving or driving assist. Do you know, like, dude, there's accidents and crashes all the time from people using that stuff. You guys are relying on technology to try to scoot us along, like in that movie WALL-E, where they're just lying on a big flat dish that moves them around everywhere and they don't do anything. No, it doesn't work like that. Humans were made to move around, to actually control their environment. Just my 2 cents on that. I'm cool with it, but I think it's a little bit too far. And if you come here to California, check the accidents from Teslas. There's many, and it's all because of the self-driving feature. It's crazy.
Well, you know what? Again, I think it's got to be through some hardened test. You know, great. Yeah, hey, you want to put an autonomous vehicle on the road? Well, go put it in a foot of snow. Let me see how it makes out. Give it the heat of West Texas, 115 degrees. Give that shit there for a while. We already saw what it did to the windmills. It melted them. It melted them. Anyway, Vegas, you got to be. I know you were on the phone. Maybe you got a second to jump in. If not, we'll go to Stellar, Joe, Zach, Jake. Go ahead, Stellar. He's probably busy in the back.
Well, I was going to add to Skinny's thing, or I think it was Skinny, that was talking about the salt water battery or salt batteries and stuff like that. Samsung, they're developing those right now as we speak. I did not know that they had a recycling for solar panels. Thank goodness. Hopefully, they'll get rid of that, get rid of the monstrosity that's not doing anything. Dismantling these solar farms are more expensive than putting them in, and they don't bring up as much. Now, also, Lake Mead is dangerously low, so keep an eye on the utilities that are going to California, Arizona, and parts of Mexico, because Hoover Dam, and I call it Hoover Dam because that president wanted to put America to work, not just sit on their asses and take money like the socialist FDR. So I'm just going to leave it there. So, as respect to Hoover, not saying that he was the best president, but at least he saw that people had to work, like you guys are talking about moving. They need to open up the regulations on hemp. Hemp can be reduced down for oil, gas, whether it's diesel or gasoline, it's cleaner. Hemp is renewable. A crop doesn't take very long to grow. It's also environmental. It'll be good for the soil. So, as far as that goes, there's other alternatives. And what Skinny was talking about, yes, they did. That person, there's been several people that were wanting to do engines on water. It was done a long time ago, but who got rid of them. But there are other, people have we have an amazing imagination, and people are smart enough to be able to make these different things. Unfortunately, these corporations are the ones that are stomping it down. Like Marlon was talking about, I never understood why, like with the battery cars, you have a battery that powers the engine and stuff like that. Why not have, like, just like how an alternator, once, the battery goes down a little bit, it recharges it when it moves, and then the alternator stops, and then the battery's charged up so it can work the next time or whatever. And then the alternator just keeps going. I never understood why can't they have something that recharges with the movement, but, I'm not smart enough to figure it out. So probably in my imagination.
Stellar, my brother-in-law was a nuclear engineer, silent propulsion systems expert. He did the Seawolves. I talk about this all the time. They run shafts on magnetic polarity, okay? So there is no friction. It takes a very little energy to run that sub when she's got no friction on her shaft, and she's silent, right? But, I just don't understand why these technologies weren't there. If I bought an electrical car and I couldn't recharge the battery, because we do it in boats all the time, the main engine converts into DC to power our batteries. We have to have the boat running, and meanwhile, all these systems are charging everything that we need. So, buy a Tesla, but I don't have any way to charge it. There has to be an alternator system that put on them wheels.
And I
it's
love
very
seeing all and then Tesla's talking about Tesla's people out here, and we get really hot now that summer's happening, just like Raging was saying. The batteries don't last as long as they do. So you have nothing but tow trucks going around with gas engines, taking these people out of wherever they're at because they're away from. Now, we have that, the Tesla Underground, that move, where they do the cars that go to the airport and to the strip and stuff like that. Now, Tesla has autonomous, but with those cars that they have going to the airport, I know you guys have seen them. I don't even know where you pick them up at, but there's a driver inside of it. Let that sink in. Autonomous cars that supposedly are wonderful. Tesla itself does not have those autonomous cars driving in the tunnels, taking people from wherever they go to wherever they go underground. Just saying.
I think the best meme I've ever saw was a Tesla vehicle, a little minivan, filling the gas up to go serve it using a gas vehicle to make sure that they can go service their cars that are broke down. That was the world's best meme ever. Vegas, one more time. Skinny, do you want to respond real quick, and then we can go to
Yeah.
Joe?
So if there's a mama submarine and a daddy submarine, and they love each other very much, and there's medium friction on the shaft, do we get a baby submarine?
No.
Damn
That's not how any of this
Damn
works.
Hey, guys, I put in the pill, local story. A week ago Sunday, all this technology. So I've been watching for years, all your accident avoidance and your traction control on your fancy cars. There's 3 curves between Carson and Reno on 580. 3 lanes of road. In the snow, you can navigate these curves at 50, 55, 60 miles an hour. No problem. Traction control turns this just completely gridlocks Reno and Carson during the winter. The freeway gets shut down all the time now. Squirrel marks. I call them squirrel marks all over the freaking roads from just traction control. And now I put in the pill a week ago Sunday. They've been testing those the Tesla semis in my area forever. And unfortunately, a driver fell asleep and killed one couple, sent another young lady, fell asleep. There's a brand new traffic light on Highway 50 out in Dayton, and kablooey Sunday morning, 7:20 in the morning, a week ago Sunday with a Tesla semi. Marlon, when you said the car taking you to the surprise party, all I can remember is that googly-eyed guy pre-purge lockdowns. You get in the car, you can't go laundromat if you don't take vaccine. Can't go movie theater if you don't take vaccine. That's it, dude. Autonomous my ass.
Man, I got
That's
5
half the
kids.
joy of a great motor vehicle is driving the freaking thing. Driving it. I don't understand it, but that's the video game generation, I guess. I don't know. I'm half in, half out on that.
Come on, I'm like Total Recall with the who was the actor? Oh, come on, he was half alien or yeah, whatever, mutant or whatever they called him. Come on, I got 5 kids to feed.
Benny, come on, Benny, do it.
Oh my God, too funny. Hold on, Jason. Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, just real quick, I was going to respond to the idea of putting coils in the road to draw energy from vehicles. Well, there's a term, TANSTAPL. There is no such thing as a free lunch. For the energy to be generated, it would introduce drag onto the vehicles. So maybe on a downhill slope, you might benefit, and the operator of the vehicle might be able to brake a little bit less. But on flat land, that's pulling energy directly from the vehicle itself. Another thing in our city, the city had certain property to be used for solar panels, and all of this green energy isn't exactly as green as we think. When those solar panels are laid down, over time they destroy the soil microbiome. And what I suggested to them was, before engaging in the lease, get a soil sample so we know the condition of the soil microbiome, so that when it's returned to that the city effectively, that we know how on the agreed upon amount how much it needs to be restored, most likely with a regenerative farmer. We also have the windmills or the wind turbines here. It's like we got a potpourri of green energy sources that aren't exactly so friendly. That's all.
Joe, why? Let me ask you this: a year and a half ago, when I used to talk about it every day. Why was a year and a half ago the Department of Interior reached out for ideas what to do with these platforms after they constructed them? Block Island, Martha's Vineyards is a good example of that. You know, that thing fell apart, busted up into pieces, and showed up on the beach where all the highliners are. Oh my God, the windmills are killing it. You know, they're polluting my beaches. I mean, that's basically what happened. So, you know, it's awful funny to see the change here, but to have the Department of Interior reach out 18 months ago and ask for ideas, and we gave them ideas. SRA 2000 wave generating machine produces electricity on wave action. There are bacteria that actually can charge batteries. I mean, I don't understand why all these environmental have been looked over. Like you said, hey, is it the conspiracy where, hey, they killed the guy who came up with the hydrogen motor or the motor that was going to run off of just H2O? Man, it sounds like it. You know, are we going to get some answers? Or is this really the green energy product? We all saw Gore gallivanting around the world, right? Those watermarks come up to the same spot every day at high tide. It might be a little higher during a storm. It might be a little lower during a northwest blow. But let me tell you, the water comes up to the same exact spot for the last 50 years. So please, who's playing the game? Is the environmentalist? Or, hey, is it really us, the citizens, that have to band together, develop voting quorums? Because that's my intent. When I see Coach, when I see Jimmy Johnson, he's going to have such a smile for me. This guy knows me. We've talked to him several times at these tournaments. Can't wait to see him. You know, these are the notions that their livelihoods are put on the block. If they put those windmills in Ocean 1 and Ocean 2, 365 bombs, because that's basically what they're going to put there. This is why we were screaming out. This is why we got to go to CPAC next year. I am game to go to CPAC. Some communities better step up and say, you know what, Marlon? Hey, we're going to go to CPAC with you. That's what I want to hear. Vegas, one more time.
Sorry about that, man. I was on the phone with my vice president.
I knew that. Go ahead.
That I couldn't avoid the phone call. But yeah, I wanted to touch on a couple things. But remember, Trump, I just caught the end of this. Trump was literally with NATO people, and they admitted that global warming is garbage. Their green energy stuff is garbage. They said it didn't work. So anyone that complains about that, that's always the talking point. Because all it was is money laundering. That's really what it was. That's what the NGOs and all of these USAID and all that stuff is, just gathering our money and redistributing our money. They weren't doing anything. But what I really wanted to talk about, well, first of all, you're talking about Jimmy Johnson, the football coach?
Yes, sir. So Jimmy Johnson knows us all very well. It's a very tight community in that offshore fishing community. He knows a lot of the captains and the mates. Wait till he gets a load of me this year.
He's a legend. Anyone that follows college football knows he's the best recruiter ever. Just look before they did what they did. The Miami Hurricanes, when he came in, were 3 deep. And all those guys went to the NFL. More NFL players came from one team, the Miami Hurricanes, than any other team, while Saban was paying all of his players. That's why he's so pissed about NIL, because now it's fair. Anyway, I'll get back to my real topic. Everybody's so concerned about NATO, and they're not looking, Turkey, and they're not looking at the bigger picture. Turkey has not been involved in any of those conflicts over there. They are by far the biggest military. They're the biggest military in NATO. But the whole idea is for him, for being a businessman, Donald Trump, I'm going to get along with Turkey. I'm going to get along with Russia. I'm going to get along with Israel. I'm going to get along with all these players. And if you take away the threat, because, obviously Israel has threatened Egypt and said we're going to war with them in the next 10 years. And then it threatened Turkey, and so Turkey kind of responded. The timing couldn't be more appropriate, because if Trump has Turkey in his pocket, then they're not going to unilaterally go after them. And if you isolate people from attacking other people, then there is no excuse for the continued onslaught in the Middle East. And everybody knows. And if you don't know, please look into it. Iran is beholden to the City of London and all the deep state people. They're the army. They're the tipping point in the Middle East. So it's not about helping Israel like everyone says. It's so ridiculous. Look into history. It's to take away the threat so they can't go, to Lebanon and Egypt, which they've already threatened, and Saudi Arabia now.
Vegas, hold on 1 second. He took the 2 biggest players out of that dark market. They're the ones that were powering those regimes. Exactly. Everybody broke Trump's balls when he increased the military presence in the Eastern Caribbean, right? They stopped all the drug boats. Those drug boats were not bound for the U.S. The drug boats were bound for the U.K. That's what nobody understood what was going on. It wasn't just about taking him out of power. It was cutting them off for the energy. That's what he did.
Yeah. You control the energy supply and market and make it free, then they can't blackmail people. Because everyone talks about, Hezbollah and all these people and the Houthis. Well, no one talks about Hamas being funded by Israel. It's a fact. Like, we created ISIS. It's a fact. Like, we're just trying to eliminate all the players that are bad actors. Turkey could have got involved immediately right away if they cared about Palestine, and they could have just ended that problem immediately. But they're our friends. We don't have to agree. You can agree to disagree with the people that you're in the world with. But the end game is, if you take away the ability to point the finger at someone else, the aggressor becomes real to everyone. And that's where I feel that's happening. That's just me, myself. I think it's a genius move. The maestro is doing things that have never been done before. So just want to say that. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Ah, man, Vegas, thanks for the perspective, because, everybody wants to break Trump's balls, but man, he took two of the biggest players out of the game. How are they going to power this dark entity? They already caught them. They already caught them embezzling unsanctioned ships out of Iran, taking them to the Western Philippines, painting the ships so that they could go in these other ports. That's what they're doing. They're illegally, with sanctions on top of them, taking oil out and feeding our enemy. I mean, it's Jesus. I want to choke people at the end of the. And wait. I need to apologize for something. Remember, I'm not talking at you. And somebody made a comment like, the people that talk at you, hey, we're not talking at you. We're just, expressing our experience for the last 4 years and what we see. That's what I think. Are we on the cutting edge of the information, or are we on these latest topics? I would say most of the people on X are a little bit more educated than most, but this news is trickling down. My GOP talks about child trafficking. My GOP talks about the black entity and the corporate charters, but they don't have the balls to stand up against the uniparty. And the uniparty's the money. It's the money. It's the people in charge. They know it, but the GOP is so starving for that money, they'll take anything. That's how desperate they really are. And that's not just my GOP people. That's 3,357 counties across America, whether you're a county or a parish. So please just join in. Please, when you think that somebody's talking at you, well, maybe they are trying to manipulate or change your thought process. But most of the shit that we come up with it here, I feel pretty basis where, hey, I can take something away from this conversation. I can't take anything away from the Epstein or the vision of Trump or MAGA. I can't get anything out of it. I would like to be more in tune with what's going on right around me. I need to be hyper aware. So does most Americans. And they got to understand what's going on. When we talk about getting involved, I'm not saying, hey, jump out there and go and run for office. That's a ridiculous move. Don't do that. If somebody doesn't have the experience, you should start out with a very low level and understand how the process and the 19 essential services work inside of your county and your townships. Learn the process. If you just learn the process, believe me, you don't even have to introduce yourself to these people. They will come and find you. You show up at 2 or 3 meetings, they're going to want to know who you are. So keep that in mind. That's what we're talking about getting involved, just to understand and see the black arm, the fusion centers. Come on, Erickson. This is shit we talked about 4 years ago. That shit is installed in my county. Those fusion centers are there to detract from your sheriff and take it to a federal agency instead of your local community first. So the stuff we're talking about, these are things that, hey, we've kind of worked through and we're watching it unfold. We called the silver market. I can't say that we called the pullback because of JP Morgan Chase being the number one holders of short silvers for the next 4 or 5 years. No, that shit's being talked about. Why isn't that on the front page news? Anyway, sorry for the rant, but people, again, I'm not talking at you. I'm talking to motivate, man. I don't want to spoon feed the shit no more. I really don't. It gets tiring. It gets tiring to spoon feed it. Some people need to be fed. Some people need to be spoon fed. I'm not spoon feeding anymore. You want to step up and do something? I'm going to be there. Just volunteer. And anybody wants to question whether Marlon's a real guy or not, I prove it every week. That's the better part. So look out, and you better have a long arm. But, I've dealt with that. They're nothing burgers on this app. Don't be intimidated by these people. Believe me. Speak up.
Marlon, real quick, bud.
Yeah.
We've got 176 people listening, and only 47 and 46 have liked and shared. We haven't asked, I think, the whole dang space. So if y'all could do us a favor so that other people that might not be available to be here live can listen in the future, please go down, do that deed, hit the little pill in the bottom right, and like and share. Thank you.
Well, Zach, you've been waiting on, man. Go ahead, say hello, and then maybe we can go to Rob down there. And then I know you got your hand up, Seller, so I'll do my best.
All right. Good morning, guys. Me and Rigo, all your space needs. CSN Network. And everybody, just list down below, quote post, and share. Nothing else. So, get with it, guys.
Well, thanks, Zach. And I'm hoping some of the people out of that conservative space network will volunteer to go to CPAC next year. Let's change the narrative. That's really what I want to see. And again, I'm not spoon feeding it. These people got to step up and say, hey, you know what, Marlon? I'm going to go. That's what I want to hear. It's next March. I don't know the exact date, but it's next March. And it's in Florida. So, make the plans. It's easy. Wouldn't it be cool? Have a couple of really the ringleaders on X, the people that you talk to all the time. Wouldn't that be really cool? Let's find out who's who. That's what I really need to do. Let's find out who's who. Go ahead, Rob, and then we'll go to you, Stellar, Susan, Jason. Jason, thanks for being patient.
Hey, Marlon. Just hope everyone is having a great day out there, no matter where you are in the world. Just wanted to talk in general just about Iran. I know Vegas just was talking about the fact that, Zionist or Israeli intelligence groups, funded ISIS, Al-Qaeda, the Houthis, and funded Hamas. But I just think that people need to realize that the Islamic regime in Iran themselves have said that they were helped to be installed by foreign intelligence. And it's my belief that they are controlled opposition so that they can, become the arch enemy of the West. Before they were a secular ally of the West, after the Islamic Revolution in 1979, they became the big boogeyman that justified this forever war in the Middle East. They went from being a peaceful, secular nation to what was an Islamic prison, which got rid of women's rights. And obviously, we see people like Albert Pike, back in 1879, predicted the Third World War between the Muslim nations and the Zionist entity of Israel. They've been predicting this for a long, long time. And this is a generational kind of, socially engineered geopolitical situation, because now they have their fingers around the world's energy supplies. They've, destroyed the world's supply chains. And that's exactly what the World Economic Forum and these larger global entities need to justify their Agenda 2030 programs that every nation is signed up to. So people need to realize that it's possible that Iran is controlled opposition and that they are giving the casus belli, or the justification for this potential World War III. I believe that there will be another false flag, potential nuclear exchange organized by Zionist groups to justify potentially a world war. So I think people really need to realize what's going on, the importance of this, and just how the media has attacked Trump every time he has tried to broker a peace deal. They've called him a wimp. They've called him, a pussy. They've attacked him every time that he's tried to arbitrate a non-violent end to this war. And even you saw all these talking heads come out from the Zionist entities calling Trump, the worst person in the world for trying to make a peaceful deal. So he's been attacked every time he's tried to go against the party line of Israel and AIPAC and the Zionist entities out there. And, we just need to realize that, because everyone talks about Iran being the good guys, they're controlled opposition. I wonder what you would think, Marlon.
Well, what I think the Saudis play both sides of the coin. They scream that they're our best ally in the Middle East, but yet they're always doing things, showing up at funerals, patting the enemy on their ass, You know, that's the way I feel about the Arabs, okay? And you know, keep in mind OPEC derives from the Arab family, okay? So just remember back, and there's a lot of evidence there, dude, right? Talk about, you know, when, hey, America had their problem with COVID and the world shut down and the oil went to negative. Remember all that shit? Well, guess who kept pumping oil? There was two people, two entities, OPEC and Russia. They were out to break the American oil worker. And I go back to what I said before. The Western Caribbean was such a big play, more than we could ever know. It wasn't just about drugs. It's about the flow of oil to Britain and the dark entity we've been fighting in our judicial system since the beginning. And now, hey, Trump's kind of put it out there. Now they cut the shit off. No more oil out of Iran. No more oil out of Venezuela. There's no more opportunity for the Chinese to come and suck off Venezuela, right? And the Arabs, the OPEC, everybody's looking at them. They're not going to make a wrong move right now. Trump's got them. Whether we want to believe that Iran is under this regime or this black entity, I would say Britain's got a lot to do with this shit. So at the end of the day, somebody that grew up through the 70s, watched this thing play out for that long. It makes much more sense to me now. So they cut
what do you think about
bad
the
oil
bill
off,
that
and
is,
that's the end of the word. Go ahead,
what do you
Rob.
think about the bill that looks to integrate U.S. and Israel defense technologies? Like they're integrating the Israeli.
Absolutely. But you know who can answer that a little bit better is Rob Maness on Shell Shock's show with Rob Maness. They had Sal. I cannot come up with the guy's last name, but he was a retired CIA. He knows that this 224 bill is coming through, and this was the continuity bill of information. Yes, I'm not a part of that, Rob. I don't think any American would be. I don't want the Israelis, although they say the Israeli CIA or ops is the best information in the world. Who's paying them? I just, again, America's been facilitating this behavior since the 50s. I don't want to hear it. It's been trillions of dollars that I've spent. Our country has spent since the middle 70s. Now it's our
we pay it. We pay it.
The hell yeah, we paid it. And really, any wherewithal to an American would understand a lot of the stories that we heard as kids. And man, I'm just waiting for the IRA to come back out in Ireland and really scrape the Muslims off of that country. The Muslims, I'm not talking about the Muslim people. I'm talking about the Islamic
radicals.
Muslims aren't a people.
Radicals.
Muslims aren't a people.
But you know what's funny? The IRA was funded by.
Dude, hey, we're going by hands. Please don't start popcorning and talking over people. We're going by hands. Be patient. We'll get to you. Otherwise, we'll just drop you down. All right.
Yeah. So hey, we're kind of winding it up here too. I want to go through the last couple of hands. I really want to get my opinions out and shit what my local government's going to hear. Go ahead, Jason. You've been hanging on. Thanks, man.
Hey, Marlon. Good morning, everybody. Man, so much going on. So much to say about a little bit of everything. Well, starting with the topic of the day here, the Iran, flare up again. I've mentioned this guy's name multiple times on many spaces. Martin Armstrong, ArmstrongEconomics.com. I'm not affiliated with him. I follow him. I followed him for years. He had some legal issues. He was held without charges and then released because they wanted his algorithm and how accurate his forecasting models are. And he predicted and he forecasted. He said it's not his prediction. His algorithm was forecasting, from July into August, renewed flare up with the Iran conflict and also Russia and Ukraine. And there's so many layers and dynamics to what's happening, energy flow, oil control, ideologies, not to say the least of which, so many different pieces to the puzzle, integrating the militaries, the technologies, all of that's happening. And, the forecasting models are not forecasting anything good. 2027 is even more escalation, if we can imagine that, especially with respect to Ukraine and Russia. His forecasting is saying, in 2027, Ukraine does not exist in its current form anymore. So some tipping point's going to happen there. Yes, to the other speakers' point, we're definitely in false flag territory here. We're on either one of those theaters, something's going to happen to demand escalation to the next level. We've got the midterms coming. Trump's playing 5D chess, 3D checkers. I don't know, but there's all kinds of stuff happening all simultaneously, and none of it is pointing towards any good outcome. With respect to the technology discussion you guys were having, I know a thing or two about technology and recycling, electronic recycling. I've been in that business for 20 plus years in IT hardware, wholesale, and all of that. And I'll start by saying I feel shortchanged by technology based on what's possible and what they've let out. And I think the underlying principle, and it's the same across all industries, pharmaceuticals included, planned obsolescence is a business concept that I learned in school, and it's a concept to make things to become obsolete, not to last, like the other caller was saying, like Rajan was saying. They don't build things to last anymore because that cuts off the money supply. There was a story about a guy came up with a formula for tires that the tread never wore and was basically puncture proof, and one of the large tire companies bought the formula and put it on the shelf because they would never sell any tires again. So the conflict of interest there is outstanding. And with respect to climate change and the recycling and the solar panels, there's a lot of silver and precious metals in electronics and in solar panels, and for a long time they weren't recyclable, and now they are, and they get more efficient over time. And the sun is definitely a very viable source of energy if we can harness it properly. I mean, they have film now like as thin as window tint with wiring in it that you can put on a window and turn it into basically a solar panel. So there's lots of technologies with energy. Electromagnetics, I believe, is totally untapped. So there's a lot of different things with energy we can do. And to the whole climate change, yeah, it was a grift, it was theft, it was all just a lie. But I do think, regardless of where you stand on that issue, we need to be good stewards of the environment. We can't let chemicals run off into streams. We can't let plastics end up in the ocean. We can't just burn things forever without thinking of the consequences. But we can't also over-regulate things to where we just stifle